Ago, 19-year-old Rufus Sonny McGill was critically injured in a car crash. He lingered on life support until he passed away last week. But there's a twist to this story. While Sonny was in a coma, his parents went to court for the right to harvest Sonny's sperm so that one day they could be grandparents. Joining me by phone is Sonny's mom, Jerry, and also therapist Mike Dow, who runs a bereavement camp, or works at a bereavement camp. Jerry, first I want to go out to you. How are you doing?
I'm hanging in there. I've been surrounded by friends and family, so I've had great support.
It's just a horrible, horrible story. And let's first just say our hearts just go out to you and your husband and your family. Now, we're talking about your son tonight because of your desire to keep his genetics moving forward. Take us through how you decided that you wanted to do that.
Well, first, Sonny was in a car wreck on October 14th, and he was put in ICU, and he was on a ventilator. A week later, he took a turn for the worst, and they had to put him on an ECMO machine, which is the heart-lung bypass machine, and they also opened his skull because his brain was swelling. At that time, we knew things weren't looking good, and my mom was sitting in the waiting room with his father and had mentioned to him, have you ever thought about harvesting his sperm? I was totally in another room when she asked that question, and I came out and asked if I could talk to him privately, and he said yes, and we went into another room, and I said, you know, do you think I'm crazy? What would you think about us seeing if we could harvest his sperm? And he said, I don't think you're crazy at all. Your mom just asked me the same exact question. So that's how it got started, and then from that point on, we went on and talked to the doctors about it.
Jerry, I'm going to ask you some tougher questions as we go along here. Like, do you think that was an attempt to just hang on to a piece of him? Was it your unwillingness to grieve the fact that he was going?
I don't think it was at that time. I love children. I worked in the school system for 7 years, and I just wanted to make sure that I had a piece of him and to be able to carry on his legacy. His name is Rufus McGill II for a reason, and there will be no Rufus McGill III.
Now, a big part of this that you got into, and I'm sure you're surprised at what a sort of a lot of energy this created, was the legal issues around this. So let's kind of get into that. Did he want to have children? Did he leave some sort of direction that would let you know this was his wish? He's never had it in writing, and that was the problem, that we didn't have it in writing because of his age, being 19. But he's always loved children. He's always could go into a room, and all the kids would want to play with him, and he just had this aura about him with children. So I think definitely he would want children. I know he would want children. But his father and I had raised him to say, or to do, you go to school, you get married, you start your career, and then you have children. You know, it was never, you're in high school and you have children. Right. So where did the fight come in, Jerry?
Where did the fight come in?
Yeah.
The fight came in when we went to the doctors and asked, could we harvest the sperm? And it just seemed like it would be such an easy process through the doctor's eyes. But when we came down to it, it was the legalities. Because of his age being 19, we weren't his guardians anymore. So we had to try to go to court to get guardianship over Sonny because he was going to be declared brain dead.
Dr. Dow, this is something that it smacks of disordered bereavement, does it not?
Yeah.
Tell the viewers about that.
Well, listen, there's a new diagnosis that may come out in the Bible, mental health, next year, and it's complicated grief. Jerry, first of all, my heart goes out to you. I can't imagine what it must be like to sit by your dying son's bedside, you know, and we go through those stages of grief. We go through that anger, and we go through that bargaining. But I have to say, you know, Jerry, I really feel like there may be part of your bereavement that is actually a part of this sort of complicated grief. There's that bargaining. There's that, well, what if I could get him back in this way? And I have to say that I don't know, Dr. Drew and Jerry, I don't know for you if this is the best way to really remember your son.
What do you say to that, Jerry?
I say, until you've walked in my shoes, you'll never know. I mean, I'm not going to have grandchildren, and that's something I know he would want was children, and I would want grandchildren, and that's something we could never have. But if we could have just got the sperm in the state of Virginia, they freeze it for a year. You're not even allowed to touch it for a year. We could have made millions of decisions by then. It may have, you know, we may have not even used it. But
Jerry, you do have another son, right?
I do have a son. He's younger. He has no children. He's always said he wasn't having children.
How old is he?
He's 17.
Okay, so he has plenty of time to change his mind.
Yes, he could change his mind, but there's always a possibility that, you know, he's not fertile, or he meets a woman that's not fertile as well.
I hope, Jerry, that you do become a grandmother. You know, but what's also interesting to me is you said, you know, well, your son would have wanted children. I also don't know, and I think you need to sit with yourself and ask, would your son have wanted children in the way that you would have to do it this way? You know, if he would have had a beautiful wife and a beautiful family and 3 beautiful children and a white picket fence, I am sure that's what he would have wanted.
Right.
I think this is a little bit different.
This is